So today, we are making another one of those recipes that are truly incredible. We are talking a no-fry Spanish potato omelet. Now the traditional Spanish potato omelet, known as tortilla de patatas, is made by frying all the ingredients. In this recipe, we're not going to be frying anything. And let me tell you, the texture and the flavor of this omelet is still going to be right on the money. Folks, this recipe is very easy to make. It's made with 3 very simple ingredients, and you can serve it for any meal of the day. Let's begin by cutting between 3 to 4 medium-sized potatoes that have been peeled, washed, and patted dry into small pieces that are about 1/4 inch thick, which is a little over 1/2 centimeter. Now to make this recipe, you want to use potatoes that are a bit more waxy than starchy. That way when you cook them, they keep their shape and they don't get mushy. Once all the potatoes have been cut, I'm going to add them into a large fry pan, and you want to make sure once all the potatoes are in there, they're in a flat layer. Now you can also use a stock pot to cook your potatoes. I'm using an oven-proof fry pan to cook them in, as I'm also going to use this to cook the omelet. That way I end up with an easy cleanup. Then I'm going to add in some cold water into the pan, just enough to barely cover the potatoes. We'll season generously with sea salt and heat it with a medium-high heat. While the potatoes are cooking, I'm going to crack 8 eggs into a large bowl. Now the eggs that I'm using are cage-free organic eggs, but you can use whatever eggs you want. But let me tell you, with a recipe like this that uses such minimal ingredients, the higher the quality of the ingredients, the better the omelet's going to taste. We'll season the eggs with a pinch of sea salt, and we'll whisk them together until they're well mixed. About 16 to 18 minutes after turning on the heat on the potatoes, they should be perfectly cooked al dente, which means they're fully cooked through, but they still have some texture to them. You know, you can always pierce them with a toothpick, and if it easily goes in, but with some resistance, they are ready to go. I'm going to remove the pan from the heat and drain the potatoes into a colander. And we'll give the colander a gentle shake to remove any of the excess water in the potatoes. Then we'll add our potatoes into the bowl with the whisked eggs. And we'll give this a gentle mix. That way everything's evenly mixed together, and then let it sit here at room temperature for about 5 minutes. That way all the flavors can develop. In the meantime, I'm going to pat dry the fry pan we just boiled the potatoes in. Add a piece of parchment paper and mold it into the pan. Now this is an oven-proof non-stick fry pan, but when you're cooking in the oven, that non-stick doesn't work the same as it does in the stovetop. So by adding the parchment paper, it ensures that your omelet's not going to stick to the pan. Now if you don't have an oven-proof pan, you can use a casserole dish to make this omelet. Just make sure once again that you line it with some parchment paper. Then I'm going to drizzle in 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, which is about 15 milliliters. And we'll brush it around the parchment paper. This is going to add a beautiful flavor to the top layer of the omelet. After leaving our potato and egg mixture to sit for about 5 minutes, I'm going to add it into the pan with the parchment paper. And you want to make sure that everything's in a single flat layer. And once again, you can use a casserole dish to do this. I like to do it in a fry pan. That way you end up with that classic rounded edge. And we're going to add our pan into a preheated oven, bake and broil option. That's the bottom and top heat, 190 degrees Celsius, which is 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Now if your oven doesn't do both functions at the same time, no big deal. You can also use the bake option with the fan, and if you don't even have that, just bake it for the exact same amount of time and then add it into the broiler just for a couple minutes. That way you end up with a beautiful golden crust. After about 16 to 18 minutes, those eggs should be fully cooked through and this Spanish potato omelet ready to go. I'm going to remove it from the oven. Now if you want your eggs to be a little runnier in the inside, cook it between 12 to 14 minutes. And you know, you can always tell when your eggs are fully cooked through. You just pierce the omelet with a toothpick, and if it easily comes out, it is ready to go. For the next step, I'm going to place a plate over the pan and gently flip the omelet into the plate. And as you can see, by using that parchment paper, the omelet did not stick to the pan, and we ended up with a beautiful omelet. Folks, check it out. Our no-fry Spanish potato omelet is done. Una tortilla de patatas al horno. So easy to make, just 3 ingredients. Let's give it a try and see how it tastes. You know, tortilla de patatas is one of my favorite dishes from Spain, and this one came out looking amazing. Here we go. It is so good. The eggs are beautifully cooked. The potatoes just smell in your mouth. You saw this, so easy to make. Just 3 ingredients, a much healthier option from traditional Spanish tortilla de patatas. Try it at home. You are not gonna believe how good it is. Really quick before we go, a shout out to a couple of my patrons, Kim Hems, Darren Allen, Linda Bufano, and Hollis Helmichi. Again, guys, thank you so much for being patrons of Spain on a Fork. You know how much I appreciate you. For the rest of you, if you're not with me on Patreon, consider becoming one, as it really helps with ingredients and equipment to continue making videos like this. You'll find my Patreon link in the description box below and the iCard above. If you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button, leave me a comment below, and if you're not subscribed, you know what to do. Smash that subscribe button. Till the next time, hasta luego.